Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We're now getting to the third elite specialization for the Elementalist, the Catalyst, and in this video we're going to be doing a quick roundup of all of the weapons, utilities, and traits that we got to see. So hopefully this is nice and concise for you to get all your information you desire. So let's begin with the new class mechanic, the deployment of Jade Spheres on the F5. You summon a Jade Sphere, creating a combo field and granting boons to allies in its radius based on your active attunement. So for fire, you grant might and it creates a fire ring. In water, you grant resolution and a water field. Air, it grants quickness, it's a lightning field, and an earth, protection, and it is a combo field for poison. These are based off of an energy that you build up while in combat, and it takes 2 energy per second with a cooldown of 15 seconds. So I'm guessing even if you're not at maximum energy, you can still deploy these spheres. Now we're gonna go into the hammer. So for fire and air, they are more ranged abilities, water and earth are melee, but I'm going to be going in order of the attunements. So for fire, Singeing Strike. Singe your foes by unleashing a burst of flame from your hammer. Surging Flames. Sweep your hammer forward to send flames rushing at your enemies. And now we're going to the third skill. Similar to Weaver, the third skill is getting some extra love. However, instead of the Weaver being multiple third skills and combinations, on the hammer, every third ability is pretty much the same in its function. However, they have different buffs. So for fire, it's Flame Wheel. Summon a projectile of fire that circles around you, striking enemies that it passes through. While this projectile is active, it grants you increased outgoing damage, both flat strike damage and condition damage. You can actually activate this again for Grand Finale, which is redirecting any active circular projectiles towards your target. You can actually use multiple of these by swapping into attunements. You can go from fire, activate your third skill, go into water, activate the third skill again, air and earth, have all 4 projectiles active, use the Grand Finale, shooting all 4 elements at once, but we'll get to that when we get to earth. Triple Sear. Sear a path to burn your enemies. It's a nice AoE location. And Molten End. Very strange ability because this is melee. I honestly think they should just go full melee with this weapon. Just gonna say it. It's weird that the 5th skill is also melee. Slam your hammer into the ground, damaging nearby enemies. If this strikes a burning enemy, you gain offensive boons. Might per burning target and fury per burning target. Now we're gonna go into water. Water has an auto attack chain, which is cool. It's Stream Strike, Water Rush, and Chilling Crack. Damage, and on Chilling Crack, you gain some chill. Next for water, we have a Rain of Blows. Strike your foes repeatedly. Enemies hit by all strikes become chilled. I really like this. Chill is a very strong condition. I think they should play around with more skills that apply additional effects if you successfully get all strikes, or you successfully charge it up all the way, etc., etc. Similar to fire, water's third skill is Icy Coil. Summon a projectile of ice that circles around you, striking enemies that it passes through. While this projectile is active, you take reduced damage from conditions. Yeah, minus 5% incoming condition damage. It plays into that resolution. These probably will stack. And this also applies vulnerability, which can play with some of those water traits. For water 4, we have Crashing Font. Leap at your target and strike nearby foes. Heal for each target struck. Damage, healing, in a radius of 240. I hope this is just personal healing. I hope it's not AoE healing because this is very strong. It's better, I think, more balanced to be yourself, to have your own self be bolstered while not necessarily making all your allies super tanky. And then for the 5th skill, Cleansing Typhoon. Strike nearby foes, cleansing a condition for each target struck. Nice Condi cleanse. Now we're going into air. Air is the other mid-ranged attunement. Once again, kind of wish it was just all melee to have more consistency. Slam your foe with a gust of wind. Pretty simple. Hurricane of Pain. I like the name and I love the animation. Manifest a powerful cyclone at the target location, periodically damaging enemies. 9 packets of damage with 9 vuln. Really awesome. Crescent Wind. Summon a projectile of air that circles around you, striking enemies that it passes through. While this projectile is active, your chance to critically strike is increased by 7%. I'm guessing this also stacks with Fury, so you'll maybe get like 27% increased crit chance. And this also will apply weakness. Windstorm. Release a burst of air to knock down your enemy and propel yourself backwards. Nice distance generator for extra defense. And Shock Blast. Fire a blast of lightning that explodes when it reaches its destination, stunning nearby foes. As this ability arcs, it passes through enemies, but it will create a area of effect that will stun and deal a little bit more damage. Now for Earth. Stone Strike. Arc your hammer, creating a ring of jagged rocks to damage your enemies. One little note, water had an auto attack chain, Earth does not. This feels like Stone Strike should be the final third hit in the auto attack chain. I feel like it's missing its first hit, second hit, but they have the third strike. I would maybe like to see that, but Stone Strike has a cool animation. It's similar to Dagger 2 on Elementalist. Next, Whirling Stones. Encase your hammer with earth spikes to deliver a powerful blow. Large cast time, big damage though, and decent bleeding with 6 seconds on its duration. Rocky Loop. Summon a projectile of earth that circles around you, striking enemies that it passes through. While this projectile is active, you take reduced damage from strikes. Reduced damage incoming strikes. It doesn't say a percentage on this. That could be beta stuff. It says 5%, but it's not actually attached to the buff icon, which is interesting. Maybe I'd like to see that integrated just to clean up this tooltip a little bit. But once again with the earth, to reiterate, if you have all 4 of your circular projectiles up, you gain access to Grand Finale, allowing you to shoot all of them at once. For Earth 4, we have Immutable Stone. Block the next coming attack. If you block an attack, gain an aura based on your current attunement. This is a 1.5 second block, which is pretty nice, but while you're channeling this, I believe you can swap into another attunement, and if you successfully block, you gain Fire, Frost, Shocking, or Magnetic Aura based on your attunement. And there is some decent aura integrations with the traits, which I really love to see, so we'll get into that a bit later. And then finally for Earth, Ground Pound. Smash your hammer into the ground to bleed and immobilize your enemies. 1 second cast. I like long cast times. I know I just had a recent video. I would love to see some more longer cast times on other elite specs that were already in the game. A little bit more balancing. Now, utilities. These utilities are called augments. Gonna be completely transparent. These are stances. Think of them as stances. Though Weaver already had them, so I guess it makes sense that they have to make another category. So you regenerate health over time. If this is cast in range of your water sphere, cleanse a condition with each pulse. This is healing and a Condi cleanse. Next, Fortified Earth. You block attacks for 3 seconds. If this is cast in the Earth sphere, you gain barrier. Quite a lot of barrier, quite a lot of blocking. Allows you to be really tanky. It's insane. I almost feel like this should be balanced to prevent capture point gain in PvP. I don't know, but those are more so for invulns. I guess you could be CC'd out of this, perhaps. And then next we have Invigorating Air, gain increased endurance regeneration. If cast in an air sphere, you gain super speed as well. And this is also your stun break. Shattering Ice, your successful attacks will trigger an additional strike on nearby enemies. If this is cast within range of your water sphere, additional strikes also apply chilled. Perhaps this will be pretty useful in those very intense fights, but it's pretty cool. Relentless Fire, your attacks and conditions deal increased damage for a duration. If this is cast within Fire Sphere, your attacks are also unblockable. I love seeing this unblockable effect. I think that needs to be there more often, particularly with the Willbender, but it's nice to see it on Catalyst. And finally for the Elite, Elemental Celerity. Your strikes reduce the cooldown of your equipped weapon skills. If this is activated in range of your sphere, gain a boon based on your current attunement. I like this Elite a lot. It's very reminiscent to beta and early versions of the Tempest Elite Rebound, which used to reduce your recharge on your cooldowns. One thing about this though, the boons I don't think are super exciting. I actually would prefer it if this applied an aura based on the sphere you're currently standing in. That I think would be really cool. It would integrate better with the traits, and plus you only gain 1 aura application. I would prefer if you could at least get 1 other access skill to auras, and I think Elemental Celerity would be the perfect area to do that with. So now that we've covered everything, wow, this is long, let's go straight into the traits. First minor, Elemental Empowerment. This is your core trait that you want to be playing around with this elite spec. Gain Elemental Empowerment when in combat. This gives 3% increase to all stats. Now, it's not giving you a flat numerical increase. So if you have a 0 on, say, concentration, even if you have this, what is 3 times 0? It's still 0. This plays really well with any stats that you are trying to focus on, or I imagine is really strong if you are playing Celestial. Next minor, Elemental Epitome. Gain an aura based on your current attunement when you combo. Gaining an aura grants you elemental empowerment. This is on a 10-second cooldown, so you do have to wait a little bit. It's not something you can spam necessarily, but it's still something to gain an aura. But once again, I think that elite should also grant it because it is a 90-second cooldown. Could be a little bit more interesting. Next, we're going into the adepts, hardened auras. Damage reduction is increased when you gain an aura. Fish's empowerment. Gain elemental empowerment and might when you disable or immobilize a foe. Extra stat increase with some extra might. Energized elements. Gain energy and fury when you switch attunements. All the adepts I think are pretty nice. I could see any build really running any 3, though I must say I am really in love with the aura traits on this elite spec. Speaking of auras, we have more about them. Empowering auras. Gain increased outgoing damage when you gain an aura. So if you take the full top line, you could do reduce damage and increase damage. So you could be really focusing in on auras. Evasive empowerment. Gain elemental empowerment and vigor when evading an attack. This allows you to evade so much more. You gain, it says 2%. Oh, because it's 1% per stack. I see what that means. So yeah, 2% on the evade. Last major is Spectacular Sphere. Your Jade Sphere grants a boon to nearby allies based on your current attunement when activated. This isn't super crazy. If you want to be playing a little bit more boon support, I guess you would pick this one. You get some might, fury, vigor, and resistance. I almost think resistance should be on water and then maybe give an Aegis application on earth to make that at least a little bit more stronger. That could also be really crazy though. And then we're going into the Grandmasters. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We have staunch auras. For the auras, gain stability when you gain an aura. I love this Grandmaster. I love Grandmasters that are very simple. I mean, not just Grandmasters, all traits. I love traits that are very simple. They do one thing, but it's really strong. You're gonna gain 3 seconds of stability whenever you gain an aura. Next, Empowered Empowerment. While at maximum stacks of elemental empowerment, its effectiveness is increased by 100%. So if you're at maximum stacks of Empowered Empowerment, you gain 20% increase to all stats, not just power. It's not just one of those traits where it's like, you gain more power, like 20% increase. This is all of those stats. So if you're playing Celestial and you're really going hard on elemental empowerment, you're gonna get a lot out of this trait, okay? And especially if you're going full Berserk or full Soldier, a lot out of those stats. Finally, Sphere Specialist. Boons applied by your Jade Sphere have increased duration. I like this a lot. Sphere Specialist is really cool. I almost think this should have maybe one other aspect to this. The other 2 Grandmasters I think are strong enough to have a very simplified position, but I do think Sphere Specialist could maybe add a little bit something else. Maybe something along the lines of your concentration is increased when you are in a sphere. The cooldown on your Sphere Specialist is reduced by like 20%, 25%, something along those lines, or like you gain like more energy somehow, or you are able to relocate the sphere because it seems pretty standard. It seems pretty stagnant right now. Maybe if you dodge, you relocate your sphere to the position you are, and that's on like a 10-second cooldown, something like that. So everyone, thank you so much for coming. That was the Catalyst. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts about this entire elite spec. Do you like the weapon skills? Are you a little iffy like me, where you would have just preferred if they had gone all range or all melee? Do you like utilities? How are the traits? I would love to hear it all. Subscribe, like, comment if you'd like to support the channel. I have a Patreon down below, and you can pre-order End of Dragons using my links. It greatly helps me out. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye, everyone. Mwah.